In the previous tutorial, we extended the functionality of our template and discussed how to add different properties to different layers and compositions. So far, we've only been working with solids and text. Soon, you will want to work with media, images, and video. So let's see how Template Farm uses images inside a composition. So first, we must add an image to our composition. So we're going to browse for an image on our local hard drive. Here, we're going to select this island image. Now, we're going to drop this image into our composition. Once it's there, we are going to keep the image in the center of the screen. We will not scale it or move it. What we will do for now is just change the name, starting with a hashtag, and then call it image. So, when an image or a composition is marked with a hashtag, it will show up as an image browser field inside of our template that we can populate with different images that we can upload, paste as URLs, or browse for. Once we save this composition, back inside of Template Farm, reset your project. Now, you will see that there is an image field here. What you can do is click here to browse for content. As an example, we're going to select another image, this tiger. Remember, the image you choose in After Effects will serve as a placeholder when you name it with a hashtag. Thus, it is something that is replaceable in the templates in Template Farm. Once you select the image you would like to use in Template Farm, it will show up here in your template. For now, we're just going to preview it as is. We're not going to change any of the properties. When you hit Preview, the image actually populates the entire composition, even though the original image is not 16 by 9. What happened is when we upload an image to our template, we can also select how this image will be treated inside the composition itself. In this case, by default, it fills the composition, which means the smaller dimension is going to scale up to fill the larger dimension in our composition, and the rest of the image will be cropped at the top and the bottom. Now, we can also choose to fit into the composition. So now, if we preview this again, the entire image is in the composition, where we can see the backgrounds on either side. Or we can choose Use the Normal Size, which means it will use the actual pixels of the image, 1:1, relative to its size. So the image will not scale up or scale down. It will just appear in its original resolution. So in this case, it's a bit larger than the actual height of our composition. Another option is that we can select Fill Composition and then choose a specific area of the image to fill the composition. To do this, select Fill Composition and then activate the Crop tool. The Crop tool will allow us to crop the section we would like to see. For an example, we're going to crop the tiger's face and hit Preview. Now you can see that the tiger is cropped and the cropped portion fills the composition. As you can see, the cropping is not precise, as the aspect ratio of the cropped image is not the same as the aspect ratio of the composition. To fix this issue, we can select the Lock Crop Aspect. The Lock Crop Aspect will lock the aspect ratio of the crop to the same aspect ratio of the composition. This means that no matter how you resize the crop, the aspect ratio of the crop will remain the same as the aspect ratio of the composition. This also means that if you choose Fill or Fit to Composition, the cropped image will always fit perfectly in the composition. Let's do a quick test. Because we locked the aspect of the crop, it fit perfectly into the composition. Now remember, the image always scales from the center, because those are the settings we didn't touch in After Effects. The farmer is going to modify that automatically based on the selections of the user. But what if we want to have this image somewhere else? If we want to place it as a mask, or just place it in a different position? How will we go about doing that? Back in After Effects, we aren't going to move the image. Instead, we are going to pre-comp our image and call it Image. Notice that we are not going to hashtag this time because we don't want to replace the image itself. What we will do is go inside our nested composition and hashtag the image there, and hashtag the image there. So, projects that work in Template Farm actually support nested compositions. You can put hashtags next to your layers not only in the root of your composition, but within any composition that is nested inside your root composition. Which means that now we have a composition that has an image inside of it. And what we will do is actually change the size of this composition to make it rectangular. Now remember, just as before, we're not going to adjust the size or position of the image because it is only a placeholder. Template Farm will take care of the positioning and sizing of the image when we select the type of sizing or cropping. In this case, it will be relative to the actual composition the image lives in, not to the main composition. So now we can do a number of things, move it around or create a mask. Here we created a mask, and then we're going to scale it down and move it to the left. There is no issue in doing this, because again, the image is actually going to align itself with the composition it lives inside of. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Reset the project in Template Farm. And because we reset the structure of the composition, we will have to reselect the image we had earlier. After we choose the tiger again, it will show up where it was before. Click Crop and select Lock Crop Aspect. You will notice that the aspect of the crop ratio is now a perfect rectangle because the composition that the image lives in now is set to 1:1. So we're going to select the area we want to preview. Choose Preview. And now the image is actually populating in the nested composition, which is an aspect of 1:1, has a mask on it, it is positioned to the left, and it is centered perfectly within the circle. So remember, when you create your composition, you don't have to have all your layers living right here in the root of your composition. You can actually have nested compositions and use hashtags inside of those nested compositions.